Today I'm joined by Joe Pisapia, author of the Fantasy Black Book on Amazon, TV host at Sports Grid, and Line Star DFS podcast host. Joe's going to share with us why Calvin Ridley is one of his favorite fantasy draft targets this year. Now, Joe, the Atlanta Falcons have another pretty decent wide receiver down there. Not sure if you've heard of this guy, Julio Jones. Yeah, this fella Julio commands quite a few targets himself. So, question for you is, how can Calvin Ridley ever break through to become more than just a fantasy WR2 with Julio still in the picture?
Well, look no further than last year, Chris Godwin, who you'd be saying a lot of the same things about. Well, Mike Evans is there. How can we possibly have another breakout? And just like Godwin last year, Calvin Ridley's going basically as an ADP of a wide receiver 2, who I think is going to basically backdoor his way into wide receiver 1. When you saw Mohamed Sanu get dealt last year, you saw a lot of the targets go Ridley's way. Ridley's already had some huge games. It's a matter of consistency in the offense. And the good news is they've also lost Austin Hooper. Yeah, Hayden Hurst is there too, but there's a lot more targets to go around, and nobody throws the ball more than the Atlanta Falcons. So opportunities abound. There's enough for Julio to eat and for Calvin Ridley. I love this offense, and I love Ridley kind of emerging as that 1A instead of a number 2.
All right, so even if Ridley does overcome this Julio hurdle, much of his 2-year fantasy production has been tied to touchdowns. The Falcons have only scored 21 rushing touchdowns over the past 2 seasons, and now Todd Gurley comes into town. He scored 29 rushing touchdowns himself over the past 2 seasons. Aren't you at all concerned that the Todd father eats into Ridley's touchdown rate?
No, I think there's enough for everybody. And the good thing about the Atlanta Falcons offense is the Atlanta Falcons defense. That's right, because they're not really stopping anybody. They don't tackle anybody well. There's always going to be plenty of need for more touchdowns. So sure, Todd Gurley, I'd love for you to come in and score a bunch, but I think it's very realistic to see Calvin Ridley score 8 touchdowns this year, get somewhere around 1,200 yards, and all of a sudden that puts him right in that wide receiver 1 grouping.
Well, I guess at least he doesn't have to contend with old Kerryon Johnson here.
It's a very weird placement of Kerryon Johnson right above your head, just kind of spread eagle over you. I don't know. You might want to rethink this setup, Donkey.